Hey everybody, welcome. We've got Ira today from Bowman Digital Media to talk about organic strategies in marketing. So I do all paid, so I'm really excited to talk to you, Ira, and learn some things. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little about you, how you got to your business. It's got really successful really quick, so we want to hear all about it and how you got here.
Sure.
Welcome.
So thank you for having me on the show. My name is Ira Bowman. I do run Bowman Digital Media. We are a digital marketing firm, but we do focus, as you said in the intro, on organic search results and increasing our clients' visibility online without paying for ads. And there's a variety of reasons why we decided to do that. Primarily, it was my experience. In 2017, I started to build my own visibility on LinkedIn specifically. That's where it started. I had, I don't know, 1,500 connections in 2018. By the end of 2018, I had 25,000 on LinkedIn. And then in February of 2019, I hit the cap or the ceiling for connections at 30,000, which I actually didn't even know there was a cap on LinkedIn. That was news to me. All of a sudden, I couldn't add anymore. And I was like, what's this? And they're
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
didn't know
yeah,
that.
that's the limit. But you can have as many followers as you want. So by the end of 2019, I was at 100,000. And then I actually, last year, was at 204. That was the height of my LinkedIn so far. But they did something on LinkedIn which was interesting. They cleaned out some of the inactive accounts, and so my follower
Mm.
count on LinkedIn right now is at 184,000. But through that, in 2020, as I was building my visibility, I was laid off because of COVID. The company I worked for in the print and graphics space decided to downsize. And so I was one of the casualties of that. And so I
Mm.
opened up my own business. And really, at first, we were primarily social media based, but the idea was, hey, I have 150,000 followers on social media. So what if you paid me a small monthly fee instead of paying for ads, and I'll make posts on your company's behalf? And I got quite a few people to sign up for that. And so Bowman Digital Media was born that way. Uh,
Mm.
and and since then, I've gone from 150,000 on LinkedIn to have 500,000 followers in total on, well, Instagram is my second largest one. I have 156,000 as of today, followers on, or subscribers, excuse me, on Instagram. And then I have a variety of followers on other platforms too. But the company's mission from the beginning was to help others increase visibility on a budget, because in my print and graphic space, I primarily worked with smaller companies, like you might call them bootstrappers, if you will. So mom and pop type shop companies don't have a lot of money. We're tired of just throwing the dart and hoping something stick. It was like, okay, we
Hmm.
need somebody who could kind of help lead us, even if they're not quote unquote an expert, because I didn't consider myself an expert at that point. I hadn't done a lot of research in this. It was really just my own personal experience. I went from print and graphics market, which was close to marketing, but not specifically just marketing, into this marketing space. And I had success myself. So others trusted me and my nerd. You and I were talking in the green room. I love to read. So I'm always reading books. In fact, you said I should mention it. So I'm going to. I'm reading a book right now that I really like. I'm going to put it up. It's called Contagious: Why Things Catch On. It's by Jonah Berger. And this book is all about how advertising campaigns, posts, emails, articles, things like that, what makes some of them go viral where others don't. And he's got different steps in there that he considers on why things might or might not go viral. Over the last 3.5 years, I've done a lot of research. I've attended some classes. I've gotten some certifications, and then of course just real world experience too. Leading SEO primarily now is what we focus on. So how to increase people's visibility on Google, and that's really what our company is about: just increasing their visibility, driving traffic to their website, and allowing the website to do what it's supposed to do. That's, capture the attention and inform people about the product or service, and then of course lead to the purchase, whether that's a consultation or a buy now button. But anyways, that's our job, is to filter everybody over into the website and let the website do its work. So that's
Okay.
kind of a long story, but that's how I got
Yeah.
there. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Along the way, I was invited to do TED Talks. I've done two of them.
Nice.
My story captivated a lot of people. Getting laid off in 2000 unexpectedly, and from that to six figure business owner, a lot of people said, wow, how did you do that? Especially when they
Right.
know that I have
That's
8
the
kids.
captivating part because everybody, wants their dream is to be an entrepreneur, but they don't take the plunge because many
Well,
factors go into why not.
yeah, I
You
was
had
forced
to.
into it.
Yeah.
I felt like the guy on the pirate ship who had to walk the plank, right? Like I didn't jump willingly. I was pushed off, but
Yeah.
I told you before the show started, I have 8 children. And so you could probably imagine I live in Southern California. It's a little expensive to live here.
Oh,
And I've got all
wow.
these kids. A few of them are
Yeah.
in college. It's like, how am I going to pay for all this stuff? I really didn't have a choice. I had to be successful. And so I think some of that pressure actually helped me to figure it out. But if somebody is out there and they're wondering if it's possible, yes, it is possible. But that story was kind of captivating. So I was invited to do a TED talk about it. And I did. And then that TED talk helped me get an offer to do a couple books. So then I became an author. And so this all kind of just exploded outwards from the one decision, which was instead of finding another job, launching my own business and
Nice.
putting faith in myself that I could do it. I guess that was the part that took.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. Oh, that's wonderful. So I'm interested. The things that you do are not stuff I deal. I mean, I deal with Instagram. It's part of Facebook ads. So I tend to
Sure.
split them up. I know they're very different, but it's not my favorite platform. And LinkedIn, I used it many years ago. So give us like some inside information for someone who, like me, if they wanted to go and start on something like LinkedIn, like what are your tips? Because they're very different demographics and very different ways that you utilize those.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
different
100.
people, totally different styles. So give us
Yeah.
a rundown on
The type
tips.
of content and who you're going to reach and all those things. The first thing I would say is even back up one step. And you mentioned the key word there is demographics. So I think before anybody really decides what platform to use, now this is if you're trying to sell stuff. Okay. So you're a business owner or you're in sales of any kind, marketing of any kind. You kind of have to separate your personal preference from your business objectives. And you have to think about the audience, who you're trying to captivate, who you're trying to engage. Because let's say, for example, you love LinkedIn and you hate Facebook. And I can't tell you how many times a day I hear that from people. I hear that a lot. So a lot of B2B folks are LinkedIn heavy. But you have to understand that each platform has surprising sometimes different demographical pull. So in other words, if you're going after single moms, a lot of people don't think about Pinterest, but Pinterest is a big one for single moms. Most people don't know this. In fact, if I ask you the question, what's the most used social media platform of all social platforms for adults in the United States, I hear a lot of wrong answers. I hear Facebook, I hear Twitter, I hear Instagram, I hear LinkedIn, but the one that they use the most, it's 81%. 81% of American adults 18 or over are on YouTube each and every month. It's by far the most dominant. The second closest is Facebook, is in at 16%. And the users are far less. I think the next highest one is in at 40 something percent. So there's a steep drop off. But when you get into the actual numbers and you allow the numbers to help determine where to be, then you start looking at the individual platform, like how to create a good Facebook campaign is very different than trying to create a good LinkedIn campaign. So to
Mhm.
compare and contrast those, right? On Facebook, there's groups, there's your personal page, there's your business page, there's event pages, there's all kinds of different ways. And then of course there's the ads. Now I don't focus on ads, but that doesn't mean that people should ignore ads. By no means am I saying that. But there are styles make fights is a common expression in the martial arts world. So whether you're talking about boxing or UFC or whatever, styles make fights. So you need to spend some time figuring out what works and what doesn't. It's why I read books like this. It's not the only book I've ever read. I've got another one sitting here that I'm about to read called What Great Brands Do. But you got to read books. You've got to talk to people. There's something that I started doing a long time ago, and I call it an informational interview. It's really kind of like what you and I are doing right now. You're asking me questions that you want to know because these are things that you don't necessarily specialize in, the organic part of this. And there's things that you do that I don't do, which is the paid to pay to play space, right? It's not my area of expertise. Do we have a couple clients who pay us for these things? Sure we do, but it isn't. The overwhelming majority of my clients are organic based, right? They're doing organic techniques because that's how we're leading and guiding them. But if you can talk to people who regularly have a business type page that have successful campaigns, if you can pick their brain, whether that's buying them coffee, taking them to lunch, sending them a gift card, whatever, so they'll give you the time of day, I find that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is an imitation sport for sure. Most of us didn't invent the styles that we're using. We just find styles that we like, that resonate with the crowd that we're trying to attract. And so there's all kinds of ways to do it, but each platform does have a distinct style. Like, for example, on Instagram, you're going to have your shorts, right? Or your story. You're not necessarily, now I'm a professional photographer. I got onto Instagram because I love to take photos, and I did this before I got paid to do it. I did it as a hobby. I love photography work. So I love Instagram for what it used to be.
Yeah, that's what I got on it for when I was a professional photographer many years ago, but
a lot of photos,
it's
right?
not
But it's
not where I'll browse anymore.
Yeah, I'll tell you that, I have 156,000 followers on Instagram, and I could post photos that are gorgeous all day long and get 500 to 1,000 likes and maybe 20 to 100 comments. It's not going to blow anybody's doors off, right?
Yeah.
You could take the same stack of images that you would have posted all week, put it into a reel with some music in it, and now it's got some motion to it, kind of like a GIF, only with sound. And now you've got something that might be seen by 50,000 people, 100,000 people, and get over 1,000 comments. It's the same content. It's just the format, the presentation of it is a little bit different. So just understanding these setups makes a big difference. But I'll tell you something that's universally true. This is something that's universally true. People are on social media for the most part to be entertained and to be educated, right? So it's to communicate things that are interesting and to have some type of entertainment value. So if you can touch people's emotions, whether that's love or anger or fear or awe, right? Like if I take a photo, I did a series on Instagram the other day. It was 5 different photos of a surfer, same wave, just different points in the ride, and he crushed that thing. He was a master of his craft on his surfboard. But it's all inspiring to see the different positions he's in and the different shape of the wave and the size of the swelling. I'm not a surfer, so forgive me for my ignorance here with the terms. But anyways, the post did really, really well. Now, I had posted other pictures that I had taken that day that, frankly, the photos are all the same quality. But what resonated with people, I think, is the awe of it. Was almost like you got to be the writer in one sense, because you got to experience different parts of the journey. So I tapped in.
Which platform was that on?
That was on Instagram. So I believe I tapped into what we call the awe emotion. And so I got people commenting, sharing. I saw it on Facebook, even though I didn't post it there, which is really neat, right?
No, they cross post now.
Yeah.
And you even see TikTok cross posting into Facebook, even though it's a totally different company, if you allow them between you two.
Yeah. So if you can create content that doesn't come off like a sales pitch, that comes off as something that is informational and or entertainment, that tugs at the heartstrings in some form or fashion, you might see a post that really pisses you off. You're more likely,
but still gets your attention.
I'll give you something that might drop some jaws here. 30% more likely to have a post shared by others when you invoke emotion like anger, fear, love, or awe. 30%. Think about that. And that builds on itself, because if they're sharing, then you have something called social proof. What is social proof? That's when you see somebody who has, a striped shirt on. So you go and buy the striped shirt. You see somebody who's driving a Mercedes, so you go buy the Mercedes. So what happens when you start seeing your friends sharing a post, they almost feel obligated to also share it. It's what great campaigns do. So
Yeah. And
there
it's
are some
groupthink. You'll notice that like a friend will like something or you'll share it, and the next thing you see a friend liking it, and then all your friends have liked it. It's just it's
yeah,
just
you
that
read
sense of community within a
yeah,
social environment, which is where we're at kind of
you read
in
it, you
social
read a
media.
book, you tell a friend, they think, hey, okay, so Ruth read it, I'll check it out, and then they read it and they say, hey, Ruth recommended this book and I love it, and now they've got two people, and that's how stuff swells. So there are some psychological things that you can use across any platform, but hashtag use, link use, whether it's a photo, whether it's a story, whether it's just text only. Oh my gosh, text only. Those posts still work? Yes, on
Yeah, they
LinkedIn.
do.
On
Yeah.
LinkedIn specifically, text only posts have a much higher propensity to be engaged with, and your view counts. You'll notice you can A/B test this all the time. I do every day. I test posts on different accounts, public accounts, company accounts, in groups. The ones with no photos or videos get shared by the platform more. They're fed by the algorithm, and that's what makes them so successful. But then what happens? View counts go up, so comments go up. Comments go up, so then people engage, they share, and before you know it, a post that's can be relatively dull on any other platform all of a sudden is performing really, really well, and you've got click-through rates at 8 to
And
10%.
that's on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Mm, good. Is there a certain word count on there? Because there is a certain word count on Facebook. It's like the longer the better
Well,
for interaction.
I'll tell you this. If I asked you what is the mindset of today, are people have long attention spans or short attention spans? What are you going to tell them?
Yeah, I'm gonna say short, but the
Short.
statistics
Yeah.
actually tell you people really like the longer format ads, especially
Well,
when they're considering doing something, if it's an ad specifically.
you have to look at the intent of the consumer. And in fact, I just did a show on my Marketing Monday show last week about search intent, which is really interesting if you're a nerd like me. But there's four kinds of search intent. You guys can check out the Marketing Monday show if you want to learn about it. But I will tell you that most people don't actually read posts at all. They skim them. So a long post or a short post is not the number one distinguisher. What you really want to do is make sure that it's easy to digest. So you have heading breaks, the use of emojis as bullet points and things like that, for
Mm-hmm.
example, really help to make it easy, because even on a website, most people don't read the words. They read the headlines, they look at the graphics, they get a gist of what it's communicating as they scroll through. And that's the same with posts. What tells the real tell is what they call dwell time. Dwell time on a short post is about the same as dwell time on a long post. Now, those two things cannot be equally true if people are reading every word, but it is
Mm.
true. Dwell time is the metric and that's why they implemented dwell time. They really wanted to know. And don't have any mistake about platforms and what they're there for. They're there to make money. So if if you see a lot of posts with really long form content, there's a clue that long form content is better on that platform. Not every platform is the same. Every platform has its own unique algorithm. So the rules that run that platform differ. For example, one thing that makes LinkedIn the most unique platform of all of them on social media is that every single user has a unique AI customized algorithm profile. In other words, your profile and what it is showing you changes as you use it, but it's different than every other user. And so that's one of the things that makes it unique. Also, ironically, LinkedIn, a lot of people get this wrong. I say, okay, let's stack by monthly active user and rank all the social media platforms. I already told you that YouTube has the most American adults 18 or over users on a regular basis every month. Okay. But it's not the number one social media platform on the planet by monthly active users. That is Facebook. 3.9 billion monthly active users, and it's going up. It probably is at this point already 4 billion. They just haven't posted it. I haven't seen any new research on that. But as of a couple months ago, when I last did the research on this, Facebook was 3.98 billion. It's so close to 4 billion. The next closest one happens to be Instagram and then
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the top 3 used, but that's a global audience, right? So you have 3.98, 2.2, and 2.1 billion monthly active users respectively. If I asked you what rank LinkedIn comes at, now this is really funny for people who love LinkedIn and they're LinkedIn only fans. They kind of lose some air in their sails here. But if I ask you what's the rank of LinkedIn, it's all the way down at number 20. And
Wow.
it's just over 320 million monthly active users. And 78% of those folks are outside the United States. So when you do the math, it's under 90 million people a month on LinkedIn from the United States on a monthly basis.
So, okay. So if you're
this is
selling like something like online services or something that can ship globally, LinkedIn might be a good place. Otherwise, it's a
yeah.
smaller audience if
Yeah,
we're
if it's
boiling it down for
US,
people considering which platform to use and which is the best for them.
right. If you've got a US based only product and you only want to deal with people inside your geographical fence is the United States, you're only dealing with adults, then LinkedIn probably is not the best place for you, even though most businesses would have an active profile there. They
Mm,
would want to probably consider YouTube or Facebook, even though most of them don't think about it. And that's where ads really can play a huge part.
yeah.
The thing that makes YouTube so unique is YouTube videos can be played from any website. Any platform can use YouTube video. And so if someone's looking for ad placements, I tell them YouTube is a great place to invest your money because it can be seen on YouTube and off YouTube.
Yeah.
And think about what I just said. Same company, American only, geofence, only selling to adults. 81% of people are there on YouTube. And that's part of the reason why that number is so high, by the way, because they can
Hmm.
come to Facebook and watch a YouTube video. They can go to Ira Bowman's website, Bowman Digital Media, and watch a YouTube video. I have lots of them on there. And that's one of the reasons why I
Yeah.
do it.
Half the
Right.
time you don't even realize that you clocked the little YouTube to play when you're in a website or something because they're just so
Right.
easy to embed
You're
in
just watching.
emails. And
Yeah.
that's why we're doing this podcast now. So I can like bump my YouTube channel and actually start putting something out there too. But just so easy to embed, so easy to move it around. They've made it really, really user friendly.
Yeah.
And I also hear that people have gone to YouTube for more long form content. People are going there to be educated. Hence the reason
Yeah.
why we're doing something like this. You know, podcasts have got bigger there. They actually have their own podcast section now. I've always used it for music. Like I use it every day and don't even think about it. But now I'm kind of branching out into the educational content there because it is just so easy to put up there. They've made it super simple and then you can embed it anywhere and everybody can share it. And like you said, the hits on there are insane. Millions of hits. When I'm researching for clients, I'll go there and look at, what kind of stuff people are putting out. It's because I'm very in the spiritual realm.
Well,
So
YouTube,
meditations and things like that get millions of hits. It's incredible.
I'll give everybody an action tip. Okay. Free advice. If you want a YouTube video to rank on the search, which is where you're going to get your huge returns from, if you can get YouTube to start putting you at the top of these key term searches for whatever your video is about, that's how you make your hay there. The secret formula is to make sure that the content is at least 7 minutes long. They promote longer content videos on YouTube. And if you think about why, it really comes back down to ad buys. There are more ads on longer videos than there are short videos. So there's more
Makes sense.
ad breaks. There's more of an opportunity for them to make money. All these platforms are out there to make money. They don't care about you at all. You're just a means to an end. Now, that doesn't mean they're not useful and you should, bear them bad will, because there are mostly free resources for all of us. So we have to endure some of the ads to get the content that we want. But make no mistake about it. If you're looking to get into YouTube's search results, which by the way, is the second largest search engine on the planet. Google is the highest by far, and YouTube is not considered a search engine, but the searches that happen on YouTube well, let me just put it another way so it makes sense. If you took all the searches that happen online in search engines in one day, that is 9 billion with a B, 9 billion searches a day. That's over 99,000 searches a second. That's just on Google. But Google is 92 to 94% of the overall searches on search engines. The second highest search engine that's a traditional search engine is Bing. It comes in at 1.2%.
No.
The next,
Who is
the,
this?
the third one is Yahoo. Yes, they still exist. They
What?
get just
That's
under
crazy.
1%, and then even less than that in fourth place is DuckDuckGo, and those are really the only ones even worth mentioning. But Google, I'm sorry, YouTube. Remember what I said? They have 2.2 million monthly active users. There's far more searches on YouTube in a month than there are on Bing, DuckDuckGo, and Yahoo combined each month. So if it was considered to be a search engine, it would rank number 2. That's the best way to say
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, because that's where you go. Like, that's where everyone goes for education on how to something. It's the
that.
given now.
100%. That's
If
exactly
I
right,
want to
right?
watch somebody build something, or I need to, or fix something, or fix a plumbing issue or something, you can find it on YouTube.
You can learn just about anything you
Hmm.
want. And also don't forget the entertainment value. There's a hell of a lot of podcasts like we just talked about. You mentioned that in your response a little bit ago, but also there's the music aspect of it. There are kids playing video games and people watching.
Hmm.
My kids. So when I was a kid, I wanted to play video games. I didn't care about watching anybody else. I was just waiting for
Yeah.
you to die so I could have my next turn, right? These
My
kids
husband
now,
will sit and watch me play a video game for hours. He's one of those too. I'm like, what?
I
How do
don't.
you even like this?
Yeah, I don't get it, but hey, but that's I'm just saying there's a lot of channels out there where people will watch, I have that Marketing Monday show every Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. I go on and it's usually an hour-long show and I talk about something in the marketing space and people watch it week in and week out. And it's free. They don't have to spend a dime and it's great for me, it's great for them. And so, YouTube is a very practical platform for almost everybody to pay attention to, and it surprises me how many people ignore it. I just don't think that
Mm,
they're aware of how big it really is.
yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't like video, myself included. I resisted that
Yeah,
for such a long time. And then I
it
did a
took me
couple
a long time to
podcasts
get
and I was like,
comfortable with it.
ooh, this is fun. I really like this. Let's do podcasts and put them on YouTube. I think you
Yeah.
just got to keep trying until you find where your thing is. Like you were saying, people like when they start, they don't know which platform to use, they don't know how to use it, they don't have a plan. I rested on my ads because I'm lazy because they work and I don't have to do anything. I just sit back and they just bring me clients. But
But I
now
would
it's
tell you
like
this:
I want to
if it
go ahead.
isn't broke, you don't have to fix it, right? You don't
Right,
have to
exactly.
have
Yeah.
all the absolute optimized solutions out there. It's not about that. It's about meeting your objective. So if you're doing something and it's working for you and you're happy with the result, you don't have to change. It's not no one out there saying you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. But a lot of times people come to me and they're desperate. They're like, we need to make sales right away and we're lost. And
Hmm.
so I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody else. I offer a free 30-minute consultation. Somebody could come to me and in 2 minutes tell me what they're trying to do and who they're trying to reach. And I could tell you what platform to be on. I mean, that to me is second nature because I study the stuff inside and out, as you might be able to tell. So, when people are trying to find what audience to be on and then what kind of content to create, I was having a conversation. He's about to be a client, but he's still a prospect. In fact, he just tried to call me right now. So he's a bed manufacturer. And this bed manufacturer has a LinkedIn page, a Facebook page, and an Instagram page. But for the past few years, they've been working as B2B. So in other words, trying to sell into hotels and hospitals and things like that, these beds. Recently, they decided to switch gears and try to focus more on straight to consumer sales. Well, now they know that they need to change marketing campaigns and strategies because it's a different audience, but they didn't know what to do because they don't have any experience with it. So they're on the phone with me and we're talking about, okay, well, this is, how much money I think you need. And this is the platforms that we need to be on. And these are the things that we need to do to get your audience's attention. And, the guy hasn't paid me a dime yet. And I've spent now about 2 hours on the phone with him, walking him through the plan so he could be comfortable with it. But even if he didn't hire me, if he would just take the information that I've given him now over the last 2 hours, he'll find a lot more success. So it's not always about spending money. It's just about finding the right people who understand the market and then plugging in to their expertise.
Yeah. So give us some expertise then. Just generalize a little bit, like for each platform, if someone's like they're scratching their head, because I get most of the people I attract in my business are just like brand new, really like in that need to make some money, really struggling, have like small amount of budget to get this going over the the next quarter, if that. So if they're
Yeah.
like, which one do I go for? Try and answer that question for them. Give them a general overview of the platforms.
Well, let me tell you that the biggest platform on the planet is Google. So if you're not paying attention to Google, let me start there. So before you build a social media following, you really should have a website.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because your social media activity should be to drive people from where they are over to your website, whether that's Google, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, wherever they are, right? You want to get them to your website. Now we could talk about how to do that in just a second, because there actually are some things that are pretty standard, and you can do this across the board in the way you compose a message. But the reason why Google is so important is because 70%, that's a 70, over half of all internet traffic online on any given day runs somehow through Google. So if you're ignoring Google, you're ignoring 70% of your opportunity to capture prospects. And that's what you need to do. You don't really need to focus on the people who already know about you. They know about you. You need to find people who need what you offer, whether that's coaching, whether that's placing ads, marketing services for me. Let's say you're an attorney, an accountant, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You sell beds like this guy that I'm talking to, right? So they're on Google more than any other platform. Where do I find information about Google? The product or service. Where do I buy this near me? What's a restaurant near me? Where, fill in the blank. Where's the best, place to get my oil changed, whatever it is. So no matter what kind of business they're in, before they know where to go, that's the place that they go more than any other place, more than Siri, more than Alexa, more than YouTube, more than Facebook, more than Instagram, more than all of them combined. You take all the search volume from all the other places and add it together, and it's only 30%. 70% is from Google. So if you're ignoring Google, you're making a mistake. But to get Google's attention, you have to have a website. You need to understand that. You really have to have a website. They're not going to refer stuff to your Facebook page. I challenge you to go do a Google search where Facebook page business listing comes up on the first page.
Happen.
It's very, very rare. It does happen every once in a while. You have such an obscure search. There are examples I could show you where it would actually work, but they're very rare. And it usually would include a very specific name that's obscure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you would do that. I could actually show you.
So how do you get Google to notice your website then? Because I have heard about keywords. I know a little bit about it, but tell us.
Let's talk
tell
about
someone who has no idea.
There are 5 components to this for SEO. Okay, and SEO, just for anybody who doesn't know what that is, I know this is kind of nerdy, but it stands for search engine optimization. Okay, so search engine optimization is the method with which you take a ranking that's low and build it up higher. You want to be statistically, again, just some stats for everybody to understand the importance of this. 75% of users who use Google will only stay on that very first page. When they do what Google calls a query, you and I would say when we put the search expression in the search bar, right? Whatever that sentence or question is, they call that a query, okay? 75%, 7.5 out of 10 people will never go past the first page. In other words, if you're not on the first page, it's like you're not there. So being on the first page is really important. But even more important, the first spot organically, not the ad, the very first spot organic, that's the one that Google is actually recommending, not the paid ad. That gets 30% of all clicks on Google. No matter what kind of search you're talking about, that's the industry average, 30% first spot. The next 2 spots get another 30% that they split. It's about 20 and 10. So it's basically 30, 20, 10, and that's kind of how it goes. Now, the other 6 on the page get quite a few, but the bulk of it, 60% of all the search volume goes to those 3 spots on the first page. Now, about 10% of people will go past the second page, or they'll get to the second page. Less than 1% of people will go past or get to the third page.
Right. So how does your average person with a website that they just built in Wix or something like that get anywhere close to that?
First of all, don't go to Wix. Here's some fatherly advice for everybody, all right? You stay away from GoDaddy, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, Kajabi. Stay away from all of those. You want to go to a place like Bluehost or GatorHost or something that it's considered commercial hosting. And what's funny is they're cheaper, so they're less
Yeah.
expensive. But
Yeah.
Wix, Weebly, GoDaddy, all these places are considered hobby sites. And so there is a penalty that happens when you host a business platform on a hobby server. Okay, so but let's
Okay.
ignore that for
Good
just a
to know.
second. Hopefully you guys noted that, but set that to the side. How do you get higher? Google breaks it down basically into 5 major components. It's going to rank the structure of the website. That's nerdy stuff you probably shouldn't be doing, but if you built your own website, you probably score really bad at that. That's 20% of your score. The second 20% is the thing everybody focuses on the most. It's the content on the website itself. But there's some things they're doing wrong. We'll talk about that in a second. We're going to come back to those keywords you asked about, okay? The third thing is site speed. It needs to be fast. How fast? Got to load under 3 seconds, ideally under 2 seconds. That's from a clean cache. What does that mean? First time you load it, it's 3 seconds or less. You can actually test it for free at a website called GTX. There's quite a few places.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
quite a few if you just put it in the search bar.
but you
I
need to
have one
test it, and
saved
you
on my
need to
browser.
test it incognito mode to make sure that your cache is clean, okay? So if you don't know what an incognito tab is, look that up on Google and you'll find it. You can do it, okay? Now, the fourth thing is a little bit nerdy, but it's called backlinks. What are backlinks? Backlinks are the thing that when you're on a website and you click on a word and it takes you to another place on the internet, that's a backlink. Sometimes backlinks are internal links, meaning it's on the same page. Sometimes they're external links, meaning it's on a separate page. But either way, you need as many of those as possible. Now, it used to be prior to August of 22 that the bulk of SEO was about site speed and backlinks. If you had a fast site with tens of thousands of backlinks, you were going to rank high pretty much no matter what. That's no longer true. Backlinks took a hit in the overall equation. It's down to about 20% as well. The fifth thing is visitor traffic. Now, when I say visitor traffic, a lot of people go, what do you mean? I have a website, nobody sees it. That's not what I'm talking about specifically, although that's a little bit of it. The bigger thing is when they go to your website, do they bounce? I'll come back to the definition of a bounce in a second, okay? But do they bounce? Question one. Do they go and engage with any of your interactive media? Do they scroll? Do they go to other pages? How long are they there? Think of that thing that I said earlier about long posts and short posts and how to compare really how much time people are spending on them. It's that dwell time, okay? So visitor traffic, backlinks, site speed, on-page content, and site structure are the 5 components of SEO. So if you want to improve your SEO rankings, in other words, if you want to increase where you rank for these keywords, expressions on Google, you have to do all 5 things. But another thing that you can do, everybody can do this. You don't have to be a coder, a website developer. You don't have to be a nerd like me. What you want to do, think about what you said about the preference for long form content. This is a little bit of a misnomer because, again, I'm going to tell you that most people will never read this crap. They just won't, but Google will. So you want to have long form content on your website to satisfy Google. It lets Google know what your website is about. It gives them confidence to promote you higher. So that's the on-page content. How high? Well, let me tell you this, just as a rule of thumb, any regular page should have at least 1,500 words on each page, not the website in total, the page. So your home page, about page, contact page, service page, all of them. Anything that you want to be found on Google, you should have at least 1,500 words. You should have pillar content. Pillar content, 3,000 plus words, and pillar content needs to be updated at least once every month, meaning you're adding a little bit more. It's a new video, it's a new blurb, it's a new link, it's something. You're adding something each and every month. That's a good way to get promote your keyword content and move yourself up on Google. Now, there's so much more to it. I could talk about this all day and not tell you everything.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If you think long form content, and if you remember you need a fast website, if you remember you need these backlinks, and you do those 3 things, usually visitor traffic will then sort itself out. Another tip, this is for everybody, okay? Social media, website owners, everybody. One thing I can tell you about consumer behavior, no matter what platform you're on, is human beings like to watch videos, okay? It's why YouTube is so popular. But most people don't realize that 80%, remember earlier I said 70% of traffic runs through Google? A bigger percentage, 80%, that's 8 out of 10 people, are going to find a video somewhere online and they're going to watch that video. So here's my recommendation to you. In the header section of your website, every single page on your website, make sure you have a video. Before they scroll, before they have to do anything, it just loads, it's there, make it easy to play. And I suggest you make those YouTube videos, and people always go, why, Ira? Here's an interesting thing a lot of people don't know. YouTube is owned by the parent company that also owns Google. Now, while Google doesn't make this public, I believe it to be true. I believe that Google's algorithm gives special preference to YouTube videos over Vimeo or any native hosted videos. In other words, if you play with them, they're going to help play with you. Right?
That makes total sense, because
Yeah,
when
you
you're
scratch
searching
my
for
back, I'll scratch
something
your
that's
back.
educational, they always give you the YouTube videos like
Of
under the
course.
first couple of ads.
If you owned a video
Yeah.
playing service and somebody was asking you for a video to watch, wouldn't you want to show them the ones from your service first? I think that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah,
Now, again, I
absolutely. I
can't
don't even
validate
remember
that.
seeing Vimeo or anything like that actually ranked in Google. Now you
That's
come to mention it,
That's
just
exactly right. It
off
does
the top
happen,
of
but
my head.
usually you're on page 4 or 5, and we already know that most people don't go there,
Yeah,
right?
who
So,
was there?
yeah. Now, again, the video also for social media, keep that in mind. That's human consumer behavior, no matter if you're on a website or on a post. So if you happen to like write a blog, I like to write blogs. I write blogs a lot. I read and then I write. Okay. So what I started doing was I started taking the blog and using that as an outline or a script for the video. And sometimes I don't even do the whole script. I just do a part of it. Like, hey, this is a fun fact or something I think would garner some attention. I'm going to try to work in some emotions, right? Anger, awe, love, fear. And I'm going to, that's a good sizzle type video, and put that in the article, and then make a post, just post that video as a post. And then in the comment section, or link it in with the video, you can say, hey, if you want to know more about this, check out my blog. I go into more detail about it. And it's a way to cross pollinate. So if you have a huge following, once you have a huge following, like I did was LinkedIn, okay? It was really easy for me to build my Instagram following once I had my 150,000 followers on LinkedIn, because all I did was start making posts on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm also on Instagram. You should follow me there. Check me out. Share your profile in the comments, and things like that really help. But once you have one large profile, to cross-pollinate is something not only that's easy to do, it's something you should do. And I'll give you the MySpace example. When MySpace was big, people used to talk about other platforms coming on and taking it on and dominating. And it was it was a laughable thing. Everybody laughed because MySpace was the first big one. Well, how's it going for you now? Right?
Yeah, right.
Facebook is the dominant one right now, but TikTok could easily take it. Instagram could easily take it, especially with this new Threads thing that they put out, right? TikTok, I don't know what the hell's going on with that, with the old X thing. I mean, we could talk about that, but YouTube, look, Instagram and YouTube last year were averaging 1 billion monthly average users per month. Okay. So they, in less than 1 year, doubled their gains. Facebook, on the other hand, was 3.9 billion last year, and it's 3.98 billion this year. It isn't shrinking, but it's growing very slowly. We don't know in 2 years or 3 years what the major platform is going to be. We really don't know. So by cross-pollinating, you're really doing, it's a strategy that everybody should do, because it insulates you from a crash, or God forbid you get locked out of one of your accounts and now you're dead to
Or
rights.
just algorithm changes. Like, I know big accounts are making money off them. On one lady I follow her, she's got millions of people. They just did some kind of algorithm change, cleaned up all the bots or whatever, and her reach tanked. And she's only on that one platform. So now she's literally like, oh, I need to get a job, because that was the one place where.
But while it's hot,
posted.
while you're doing well, if you cross-pollinate, which is as simple as making a post that says, hey, follow me on these other things, and use things like Linktree or whatever. There's Social Tap, and there's other places. I actually have a media kit. On my media kit, I have all my social channels there, right? So it makes it easy for people to find it. But imagine this: you're on Facebook, you have a picture of your Instagram profile, and you give your handle, and you say, hey, follow me on Instagram, and let me know your Instagram in the comments, and I'll follow you there. Now, a lot of people are going to do that. they're going to post. Why? Because they also want followers on the other platform. But what you're doing is you're insulating, you're taking the control out of the hands of any one given platform, that as soon as you ever go up against one, you're going to realize how little control you have over your stuff, right? They
Mm-hmm.
can lock you out anytime they want. Facebook
Yep.
jail is a real thing. LinkedIn
Oh,
jail
yeah.
is a real thing. And I'll tell you what, I've been locked out of my LinkedIn account for 3 days at one point, and it was
Oh, wow.
miserable because I make my money on LinkedIn, not just running
Yeah.
my personal profile, but I have my business profile. And then I have 40 other client accounts that I also run their businesses on LinkedIn. So for 3 days, I couldn't go in. I couldn't make any posts, comments, see how they were doing, couldn't give them feedback, couldn't do anything. And it was awful.
Oh, I
Right.
bet. Yeah.
So, trying to spread it out a little bit is smart for a variety of reasons, including obsolescence.
Mm-hmm.
Because again,
Good
if you had a
tips.
huge MySpace, your account on MySpace, you might have had the largest one, but what good is that to you now?
Oh, yeah, that died fast too. It was
Yeah.
just one day it was good, one day it was not. Bye
Yeah.
bye. I
Yeah.
remember that too.
Here's
I'm
my
that
top.
old.
Here's my
I'm
top
that old.
8.
There's people watching that don't know what MySpace is, but yeah, it used to
That
be
is
like
true.
Facebook to anybody that
Look,
doesn't
I'm
know.
46. I'm 46 old. I'm not a whippersnapper anymore.
No, me neither. Well, this has been awesome, Ira. Thank you so much for coming. Do you give us like where you want anybody to hit you up if they want your services for the social media and your digital media services? Let us know your website. We'll post
Yeah.
your links in the description below as well so that people can find you.
Yeah, appreciate that. The main website to find me if you're looking for services, and even what people love about that on my website, is we have all the services and all the prices listed. It's transparent. So you don't have to wonder, is this a $5,000 a month service or a $500 a month service? You can just find it before you waste anybody's. I don't want to waste your
Yeah.
time. I don't want you to waste mine, right? So anyways,
Yep.
it's just the name of the
Nice.
company. It's Bowman, Bowman, digitalmedia.com. And then if you want to see some of my photos, you can go to just type in my name, irabowman.com, and that's my photography site. If you're on any of the social media platforms, you could just put in Ira Bowman, I come right up. So pretty
Perfect.
easy. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, this has been super informative. I've really enjoyed having you on the show, and I hope the listeners got a whole bunch of information. I know I did.
Yeah,
That's
I'm sorry
super
if I
handy.
bored you guys with some of this technical stuff, but
No, you're fine.
the numbers behind it can inform your strategies, and that's what can make the difference between being successful and going hungry.
Absolutely. No, knowing why something works is important, I think. But then again, I'm a nerd too in the digital numbers game. So
Yeah. Well, and I look
thank
forward to
you.
it. I look forward to sending you some clients who are looking for paid services, because honestly, I'd rather give them to you than deal with it myself.
Oh, same. And the same because I can't stand social media. And people always think that the same thing. I'm like, no, I have not did no.
Yeah. Totally get
So
it.
this is a good mix up. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much, Ira. Have a good one.
Bye-bye, everybody.